Welcome to This Week in Washington for October the 7th, 2011. This has been an extremely busy week in our association as we have been working on almost all aspects of the important activities we perform for our members. This week we had significant progress, I believe, on working in some changes on proposed legislation to provide greater protection for smaller rural transit agencies as well as smaller urban agencies that could be affected by the drawing of new census boundaries. Scott and our allies, who are working on what many of you know as the Carnahan Bill, were able to come to an agreement to make sure that if a rural transit agency or a small urban is pooled into a larger urbanized area, those programs would continue and be able to be continued using the same kind of matching fund requirements and operating expenses that are so important for smaller systems. I also want to thank Dave Marsh and John Macbeth for helping us with this situation this week and being in touch on the important things we were trying to do in this instance, and particularly for John's help in reaching some Republican members of the House of Representatives from Texas who are among the first Republicans that have joined the Carnahan Bill. And again, more details of that will be forthcoming, but it's a good protection for our rural and smaller transit agencies, especially in communities that have growing population. In addition to that, we had a very successful week on expanding and, I think, reinforcing our commitments to financing in our field. I was pleased to welcome to our offices this week Mr. Frank Altman from the Community Reinvestment Fund. Mr. Altman is the president of the Community Reinvestment Fund, and he was in Washington on other business and came by to spend an hour talking about our financial needs and the financial needs of our industry in the years ahead. The basic outcome of that conversation is not only do we have the commitment for the Community Reinvestment to help us with our rather unique truck financing program, but they're back ready to help us with our more traditional transit financing, including vehicle purchases, the creation of van pools, the construction of transportation facilities, and the ability to use funds for match in federal grants and programs, as well as a full range of other equipment. We'll be getting that out shortly, but the nice thing about this, it enables us to pursue our strategy of, quote, doing our part to help our industry with some additional flexible financing options in these very strange and very difficult times. So I'm very pleased to have welcomed Frank this week, and I'm very pleased that this will strengthen our overall role in financing. In addition to that, as you know, we have been making a sincere effort to remind people that jobs in rural communities are very important to the rural transportation program's future. And I'm also very pleased that a breakthrough was made this week with our truck financing partners to expand the small business opportunities for rural people who use the Georgia Port Authority areas to come and go and provide greater trucking business. This means that if you are a rural person who owns a small business in the trucking field in Georgia or in the Atlanta or in the Savannah area and all the hinterland around it, you'll be able to now qualify for a very low-cost way of financing new environmentally clean equipment, improving your chances to build a sustainable business. As that we do our part process that we like to talk about, this really helps people, especially minorities and disadvantaged businesses. I also look forward to expanding that concept to include minority and disadvantaged businesses who react to and are part of any expansion in the highway program. As you know, also yesterday, President Obama had a press conference about the jobs bill. Later today at CTAA at 2:30 this afternoon, we're having a call-in with members of the White House and the Department of Transportation to talk about those aspects of the bill that are important to our traditional members. And I urge all of you to look at Chris's note if you haven't seen it, to call in and try to get the latest information the administration is willing to make available to us. This week, we also announced that the Board of Directors will have a new member. Bill Osborne from Southeast Missouri has been elected to the seat that has previously been held by our longtime member, Linda Yeager. Bill's term will begin at our next board meeting, and we'll be creating an opportunity so that you can learn more about him at that meeting, and he can learn more about you. We think it's exciting that Bill's going to be joining us, but we are a bit saddened by the loss of Linda, who we all know provides such an extraordinary contribution to all of our efforts, either at meetings or over the phone. And I was assured when I saw Linda last week, she would still be in touch with all of us. Also coming up on our Board of Directors issues is two of our national directors have their terms expiring and will be in need of being reelected at the next meeting, should the board choose to do so. As you know, national directors are seated after the election season usually closes. The two national directors who are up for reelection this year and who want to run for reelection include our distinguished President Ann Gilbert, as well as Bill McDonald, who came to us to fill part of a term several years ago when we added some people to the Board of Directors. Both Ann and Bill want to run for re-election, and if there are others that you would like to propose for the election, please feel free to drop Barb Klein or Karen or I a note to let us know that there are other people that you would like the board to consider. I was thinking, since Ann and Bill have been such great contributors to our association, it would be hard to find people who could offer more than they do. But please feel free to communicate your concerns, and we'll try to get those on the ballot at the upcoming board meeting. As you know, Monday is a holiday, Columbus Day, the holiday that was set aside to honor Christopher Columbus, the great explorer. These days, I think we're all like Columbus, exploring new avenues of trying to do our services, especially in light of the political consequences. So here in Washington, where demonstrators are gathering in support of the Wall Street demonstrations, we're going to continue to what I like to call slog on next week to try to continue to advance our goals for community transportation and the services we provide to our members. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to call. Send me an email. Let me know what you're thinking and hearing. And thank you for spending time listening to this message today. And I hope that you'll have an opportunity to tune in to our 2:30 conference call with the administration. Thanks. Have a great weekend. And for those of you who are taking Monday off, have a really great Columbus Day. Thanks. Talk to you soon.